Welcome to the Gen Shift, the podcast where we explore the extraordinary ways Gen Z and Gen Alpha are shaping the world. I'm Joan Baker, your host, and in today's episode, we're stepping into a digital landscape that's as complex as it is creative: social media. For Gen Z and Alpha, social media isn't just a tool, it's a stage, a diary, and a canvas rolled into one. But here's the twist. It's also a mirror, reflecting back their identity, creativity, and advocacy while shaping the cultural norms we all live by. So grab your headphones and let's unpack how these digital natives are redefining what it means to express yourself in a hyper-connected world. Let's begin with a simple question. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? For many of us, it's reaching for our phones, right? That little rectangle holds an entire universe. Now imagine growing up with that universe in your pocket every single day. That's the reality for Gen Z and Alpha. They live it. I want to take you to three very different places to show you what I mean. Picture this. It's 7 a.m. in Sao Paulo. A 16-year-old named Isabella posts a sunrise photo with a caption about starting her day with gratitude. Thousands of miles away in Seoul, 12-year-old Minsu uploads a video of himself remixing a popular K-pop dance. Meanwhile, in Nairobi, a group of teenagers shares a video to raise awareness about climate change in their community. These aren't isolated events. They're a snapshot of how an entire generation uses social media to connect, express, and create. But here's what's fascinating. Social media for these young people is more than scrolling through photos. It's a space where they're building their identities, exploring their creativity, and amplifying their voices for causes they believe in. And they're not just influencing each other, they're influencing all of us. Let's dive into identity first. For Gen Z, platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Be Real aren't just apps. They're stages where they can experiment with who they are. What you see on their profiles isn't just a reflection of their current selves, it's a roadmap of who they're becoming. Take Be Real, for instance. Have you heard of it? It's a social media app that asks users to post a snapshot of their life at a random moment each day. No filters, no perfect lighting, just real life. For Gen Z and Alpha, this is revolutionary. After years of scrolling through picture-perfect feeds, they're saying, enough. Show us the real you. But here's where it gets interesting. Even in this quest for authenticity, there's a paradox. When you're curating your realness, how real is it really? This tension between being authentic and being seen is something these generations grapple with every day. And as they navigate this, they're teaching older generations something powerful, that vulnerability isn't just okay, it's valuable. Now, let's move to creativity. If identity is the foundation, creativity is the spark. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram aren't just for selfies, they're playgrounds of endless possibilities. Think about the last viral trend you saw. Maybe it was a dance challenge, a DIY project, or a comedic skit. Chances are it came from a Gen Z or Alpha creator. Take the cottagecore aesthetic, for example. It's a dreamy, romanticized celebration of rural life, popularized by Gen Z on platforms like Pinterest and TikTok. Through curated photos, videos, and music, they've turned this niche interest into a global phenomenon. But here's what's truly inspiring. For these generations, creativity isn't just about going viral. It's about using their art as a form of expression, and even as activism. I recently came across a 14-year-old artist in Berlin who uses her Instagram to share digital illustrations about mental health. Her work doesn't just showcase her talent, it starts conversations and builds connections. When we think about creativity, we often separate it from activism, but for Gen Z and Alpha, the two are deeply intertwined. Their TikTok dances often come with hashtags supporting social justice movements. Their graphic designs are shared as digital protest signs. They've blurred the line between art and advocacy, proving that creativity can truly change the world. And this brings us to advocacy, the heartbeat of how these generations use social media. I call it the megaphone effect. They don't just talk about change, they amplify it. Take a moment to think about movements like Black Lives Matter, Black Me Too, and Fridays for Future. These hashtags aren't just words, they're rallying cries. And behind many of them are young voices speaking up through their screens. One story that stands out to me is from a 16-year-old climate activist named Amina in Nairobi. Through her TikTok videos, she shares how climate change affects her local community. Her posts have reached thousands of people, sparking conversations that might not have happened otherwise. This is the power of Gen Z and Alpha. They understand that a single post, a single video, or even a single comment can ripple across continents. They're using social media not just to reflect their world, but to reshape it. Here's where things get truly remarkable. In shaping their identities, unleashing their creativity, and advocating for change, these generations are also rewriting the cultural norms we all live by. Think about it. They're rejecting the idea that you have to look or act a certain way to belong. They're celebrating diversity, embracing authenticity, and showing us that being real is more powerful than being perfect. As we navigate this world alongside them, there's so much we can learn. Whether it's the way they build communities, express their creativity, or fight for justice, Gen Z and Alpha are showing us the power of a connected generation. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a question. How are you using social media? Is it a stage, a diary, or a canvas for you? Or maybe it's something else entirely. The beauty of these platforms is that they're what we make of them. And as Gen Z and Alpha continue to innovate, advocate, and express themselves, they're reminding us that the future of social media and the world is in our hands. Thank you for tuning in to the Gen Shift. Don't forget to subscribe and join me in 2 weeks when we dive into another story about how these incredible generations are shaping our world. Until then, keep questioning, keep creating, and keep shifting.